Y'all, Victor Wembanyama is not real. Plus, the Pacers shocked the Knicks in overtime and a really funny turnover. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the number one sports podcast network. On Wednesdays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Today's episode sponsored by FanDuel. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with a bet on FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. John,
yes,
only four games in the association. It was kind of a quiet-ish night, but there was some moments there.
Some moments. You know, we've been so lucky over the years.
Yeah.
We've done some great games. Everyone, so this is the equivalent of, you know, a 17-point quarter for us. It's just like a little kind of but hey, still, like you said, some great moments. And I was this close to like, come on, Lakers, keep this game close enough for Victor Wembanyama to do something special.
But they didn't need it to be close for him to do something special. So let's start there with the San Antonio Spurs beating the Los Angeles Lakers 136-108. Like, there's one thing and maybe one minor thing to talk about in this game, but the big one is Wemby. 40 points, 12 rebounds. He was just he's not human. He did that in 26 minutes. 26 minutes.
Yeah. So the third player in NBA history to score 40 in less than 27 minutes. And that's Patrick Ewing, Sleepy Floyd, and Victor Wembanyama, 26 or fewer minutes. Just first of all, Lakers played nobody. They had Jake trying to cover them. This was Wembanyama just showed up and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to put this game away early," and he just did anything that he wanted. You get a switch on Luke Kennard.
That sums it up, right? Like
the most hilarious kind of like punishing a switch poster dunk. It was the most casual poster dunk I've ever seen in my life. You remember, you know, the iconic Dr. J play where you bring the ball around and you swing it underneath. This was like the 8-foot tall kind of like almost version of that. We just hold it out to the side and just kind of come around and just dunk it. It was kind of incredible.
It's just like it sums up his night where he had 40 points on 20 shot attempts, which is absurd as is, right? Because they had no one who could guard him. The Lakers in this one had no LeBron James, no Luka Doncic, no DeAndre Ayton, no Austin Reeves, no Marcus Smart. It's literally 100 points in street clothes. So like, what were they gonna do in this game? Like, there's no analysis here to give you on how the Lakers played or anything like that when you're missing all of those guys. I do find it hilarious that Jake LaRavia fouled out in 18 minutes of action, though. But like, Wemby could just do what he wanted in this one.
What's more impressive? 40 points in the 26 minutes. Or 6 fouls in 18 minutes. I think each one is equally impressive in its own right.
Okay, the way I'm trying to think about it is if I was out there instead of LaRavia, would I have like more fouls than LaRavia in that many minutes? But here's the thing, right? Like I wouldn't even be foul Wemby. I probably would have like 2 fouls because he would not be bothered by any sort of contact that I could put on him, and he would probably just like dribble around me too.
You would have 2 fouls because he tripped over you without even realizing you were there.
Yeah,
and then
everything else see me these like, ants down below, you know.
The rest would just be you flailing aimlessly at air as he went by you.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be able to foul him. So I was trying to come up with something clever there. And it's like, actually, no, like I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even foul out of this game probably. Truthfully, like he did this without like taking tons of threes. He was also 4 of 6 from 3, which is just a ridiculous thing too. But normally you do a 40-point game like that, right? It's going to be like, oh, dude hit 8 threes, 9 threes or something. You're like, no, it was a factor, but it wasn't like the big factor here.
No, he just got fouled a ton. He even got 12 rebounds, which he really packed a lot into those 26 minutes.
It was absurd. Other thing I think of note was Stephon Castle with a nice block, like a real hustle effort play, came down really hard, looked kind of scary. And then they just held him out, and it sounds like x-rays came back negative. No significant injury there. They did not need to play him any more than they did, but that looked scary in the first half there.
It was like equal parts amazing play, just an absolute. And they were mentioning it on the broadcast. They were up 30 at that point.
Yeah, like there's no need to put him back in.
No, and honestly, you could sit there and say there's no need to even try to make that play. You're like, whatever. A lot of times you just like make that business decision. It's like, all right, whatever. He got that dunk. We're up $1 million. Doesn't matter. But there's Stephon Castle was early in the game, and you still are out there working, and it doesn't matter what the score is. And that is a notable thing, right? This dude went up there, put his body on the line early on in a blowout. It was very obvious that this was not the Lakers were never going to make a run in this game.
I mean, you had Wemby scoring as many as their starters did in the first quarter of the game. Like this one was just done.
Yeah, but there's Castle out there working and making a great play. I'm glad that he was rewarded with like the basketball gods being like, okay, we're going to protect you a little bit.
You don't need to be injured.
Yeah. So, I mean, who knows? Those landings are tough, and you probably feel a little sore the next day. So maybe he'll miss a little bit of time, but it could have been so much worse. So I'm glad that he comes out of it okay.
Anything on Bronny James scoring 12 points?
Look, any kind of positives out there, that's good. 12.6 assists. It's Bronny doing
a nice little game.
Look, I don't know that he's ever going to be anything more than what he is now, but look, he's at least putting in the work. I don't think he's probably gotten some preferential treatment, but he's going to the South Bay and playing in those G League games. He's doing the work. So I'm not going to clown Bronny as much as there's like you want to sometimes. He's working, and I tell you what, I would trade it all for the opportunity to put up 12 points and 6 rebounds in garbage time in an NBA game. So,
man, I can't even get 6 fouls in an NBA game here. So, right? 6 assists. That's pretty cool. Also, just random thing from this game here is while you had Wemby with 40, no one else eclipsed 20 points in this one.
Weird.
Really, just kind of sums up the night across the NBA. We had one really close game and then just a bunch of this across 4 games, which we'll talk about all in today's show. That's what we do here on Locked On NBA Game.
Let's get to the close game.
Let's do it. Let's get to the good game, which was the Indiana Pacers beating the New York Knicks in overtime. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background that can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, location. So if I were hiring, I wouldn't want just someone that can help. I'd want someone with real experience who can jump in right away. And that's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific and target exactly what you need. And it's going to save time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your posts get seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in the arena. You want to watch Wemby go for 40? The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that hasn't always been so simple. And that's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. Puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. Pull up the Game Time app, look at an upcoming NBA game, and you're going to have tickets locked within minutes. And I love the all-in price up front. There's no surprise fees at checkout, and being able to see the view from the seat before you buy. If you're going to a venue you've never been before, an arena you've never been before, you're going to get the exact seats that you want. Everything just feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week covering every single game across the association this season. If you're about that everydayer life, check out the new Everydayer Club. You get access to ad-free audio for Locked On NBA, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. You're going to get an invite into the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. You can tap the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, John, we got some more games here. Let's look at the best game of the night, and that was the Indiana Pacers beating the New York Knicks 137-134 in overtime here. Would you call the ending of this one to send it to overtime controversial?
No, you mean the foul?
The foul. So as time was basically expiring, the Knicks down to launch up a three. Karl-Anthony Towns, they miss. Karl-Anthony Towns crashes the offensive glass, gets the ball, gets fouled as time expires, goes to the free throw line for two shots, hits them both, goes to overtime.
I don't think that's controversial. I thought it
looked like a foul.
It looked like a foul. I'm not one of those guys that is you can't call that in that situation unless it's like a touch foul. Like the something like that prevented a player from making a play on the ball, potentially getting up a game tying tip in. That's a foul. So that's a foul. It was with 0.1 on the clock or 0.2 on the clock. And no, I would say that was legitimate. I think it's actually a well officiated moment.
All right, that was. You know what? We got to give some credit to the refs here and there when they get things
They catch
right.
hell all the time, man. Give them their well officiated moments when they get them.
All right, let's go over to Tony East and Locked On Pacers for his take on this game.
Madison Square Garden with Locked On Pacers. Woo! Insane basketball game just played between the Pacers and Knicks. 137-134. The Pacers get it done. 39 lead changes, the most in any game for any NBA team this entire season, or any two NBA teams, I suppose, to be more accurate. Pacers scrape it out in overtime with great defense to start the OT period. Almost blow it, but still figured out how to get it done. Pascal Siakam, as he does against the Knicks, brilliant with 30 points in here in the Garden. Andrew Nembhard with 24 and 10. And Quentin Jackson stepping in as a starter after a couple DNPs with 19. As Pacers show that when their guys are on and playing, they could be really good. Aaron Nesmith got going at times, and this one the bench was all quite good, and the Pacers can beat good teams at their top level. Their defense was huge, of course, in the OT today, as the Pacers get win number 14 of the season. As this tank race heats up, the Pacers go for it tonight and beat the Knicks. We'll have much more on Locked On Pacers.
I dispute the go for it there. I dispute it because the Pacers weren't like they got the ball to Pascal Siakam at the end of the fourth quarter. He's a 65% free throw shooter. They didn't even call a timeout. Point two, Karl-Anthony Towns ties the game. Point two on the clock. You have a timeout. Are you going for it? Call the timeout, draw up a lob, and see if you can get a tip in. No, just inbound it. Let's go to OT. So I'm not saying that they were tanking, but I'm not saying that they were going for it either. It's just the Knicks absolutely sucked down the stretch. They lucky that they got that foul call. We got to remember that Towns' rebound was coming in to try to tip in another Knicks miss. They had so many chances, and then they fell apart in the overtime. So
like looked horrible in the overtime.
Horrible. This was just a bad.
The final score is not indicative. It's a 3-point win, but this was like almost 10 points for the Pacers. And the Knicks just kind of like, I don't know, wouldn't go away. And the Pacers started like playing with their food a little bit, I think, in this one and kind of let him back in. But like never was I like, oh yeah, the Knicks might steal this one watching the end of it.
No, the Pacers actually had their biggest lead in the game in overtime. So that's what you need to know about how the Knicks have not done well. Their offensive rating during the overall offensive rating is third. It's almost 119. It's 118 and change. Overall, fourth quarter offensive rating for the Knicks, 113.5, 19th in the NBA. So they have a problem. That was a strength before. They have a problem closing these games out. And that's why they're third behind the Celtics. And oh, by the way, the Cleveland Cavaliers are starting to creep up. The Knicks have to be careful. They're in danger of falling down to fourth. And that just puts them in a bad spot if, when it comes to the playoff bracket. They've got to be careful.
Yeah, that eventually gets you a matchup, right, with Detroit. And look, I would, after that series, last year, I'd love to see that series again. So I'm almost like hoping for that in a way, because that sounds really, really fun to me. You said it, their biggest problem is fourth quarter offense. And they look like they don't have a game plan. They don't run sets. They're improvising the entirety of the time. And it's just kind of falling on talent to try and make shots. And yeah, you can be a good shot making team overall, but eventually that will fall apart a little bit, I think.
It's like Princess Leia going into R2-D2 and being like, help me, Jalen Brunson. You're our only hope. Like that's the Knicks fourth quarter offense.
Pretty much like that's kind of what it is that they're doing. It's not ideal, by any stretch of the means here. Pacers are going to be really good again next year, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean,
maybe not really good, but they're going to be good again.
Well, they're going to be good. They're going to be obviously you got Tyrese Halliburton. We haven't seen Ivica Zubac yet because he's been dealing with,
and they're going to be tanking.
Right. Well, he just had a kid and he's got an ankle issue that they're going to be cautious about. So
very, very cautious, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be, obviously you're going to throw a lineup out there with Zubac and Halliburton. And it probably wouldn't be surprised if you see a slow-ish start next season to the Pacers, depending on what moves they make over the summer. But one of those like slow-ish starts, and then all of a sudden December rolls around, they start to catch a little bit of a groove. So yeah, the Pacers are going to be back for sure.
Yeah, they're going to be.
Who knows? Maybe a top 4 pick.
You throw that into the mix, which is kind of the direction they're heading right now. It'll be the East is going to be kind of interesting next year, I think. But we're probably getting a little too far ahead of ourselves when it comes to all that right now. But Knicks need to figure out the fourth quarter offense and like how they're going to go about all of that. Look, they brought in Jose Alvarado. That'll help with some of the organization, but you don't want him playing like heavy minutes in the fourth quarter. This is going to come down to Jalen Brunson and the rest of their starters just kind of figuring it out in a sense.
And they rely so much on a defensive configuration around Mitchell Robinson and an offensive configuration around Karl-Anthony Towns. And
Robinson, who didn't play in this, neither did Anunoby, so it's worth keeping that in mind too.
Sure. But when you don't have that defensive presence in Mitchell Robinson, and that's been the issue. How much time is he missing? Is he going to be available? They're so reliant on him to be a big part of their defensive lineups. You can't count on a Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson lineup down the stretch in a back and forth game, because even if you are putting together any kind of offensive run, you're going to get targeted so many different ways defensively that if Robinson's not available, you have some problems. If Anunoby is not available, now your best defenders aren't there. And, you also have the fouling Mitchell Robinson to put him at the line, and that hasn't gotten any better. So the Knicks have issues and issues that aren't correctable unless Towns and Brunson can figure out a way to coexist down the stretch and run some kind of cohesive offense. And it's not just Jalen trying to free up Jalen. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns fouled out of this game, setting an illegal screen with five personal fouls for Jalen Brunson. Like he's
the most Karl-Anthony Towns foul imaginable. Like,
right. Like you
just
cannot.
The dumb fouls he does.
So many dumb fouls. So on top of everything, he's fouling out of games because of this. He's going to screw that up somehow. And they need to figure something out. Karl-Anthony Towns' feelings have been hurt because of the trade deadline stuff. That's something they have to figure out. So I don't know. Like the Knicks are good. They have a ton of talent. I'm just not 100% confident in how they're going to figure this stuff out and get to the playoffs, at their peak.
Yeah, we'll see. Make Locked On Knicks your second listen today to kind of hear about this loss and what they need to do to kind of right the ship going forward. 2 more games, including a really funny turnover from the Clippers. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. The winter games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years, and that's why following the winter games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about the most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The drama of curling matches starts slow, but they get intense really fast. Speed skating races decided by inches, hockey games that feel different right from the opening face-off. Even niche events become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition, and FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your way. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week covering literally every game across the association all season long. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Join us on YouTube as well. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the #1 sports podcast network. All right, 2 more games, John. Let's go over to the Houston Rockets beating the Los Angeles Clippers 102-95. Highlight of this one for me was Jordan Miller inbounding the ball to Kris Dunn, rolling the ball up, and then Kris Dunn pointing to Jordan Miller to pick up the ball. He then picks up the ball, and the officials immediately call it a turnover. What? Just what?
Oh, Chris. Like
Chris Paul wouldn't do that.
Chris Paul. Very few players in the league would do this.
Correct.
Yeah. Kris Dunn finds his way into this situation. It's not the first time that he's had a brain fart. That's hilarious. And, it's funny to me how NBA players do this sometimes. Like the play where Russell Westbrook gets the ball, tucks it under his arm, and just starts walking and pointing, and people are like, oh, yeah, you gotta dribble. Right? Like sometimes players do this, they forget. It's just hilarious to me that in that moment, this is a critical moment. 4-point game, end of the third quarter, you have a chance to cut it down to 2 or 1. And all of a sudden he's just like, you're running the set here. And you can see off on the sideline, Ty Lue, like saying, they're gesturing like, what? The confusion at the end is the best part, because they're like, what did we do? We don't, what happened? Like, come on, buddy.
It's just a funny, I think, situation when it comes to it here.
Oh my God. Anyway.
Look, Houston's better than the Clippers. That's pretty straightforward here. I want to talk about the Clippers for a minute. You had 24 points from Kawhi Leonard, 17 from John Collins. I know a lot of people are expecting them to not be good, having traded away Harden, traded away Zubac, but I don't know, man. Like Mathurin had an awful shooting game, 4 of 13 in this one. When they get Garland coming back, whenever that'll be, like there's still enough talent here to maybe maintain their position in the Western Conference.
Yeah, but I don't expect Kawhi Leonard to be around for the rest of the season. Like,
okay,
I don't expect Kawhi Leonard to be either healthy enough or
that could be. It could mean multiple things.
Or around, like you could hear in everybody talking about the Clippers situation moving forward, like the Brian Windhorst fingers, like why would they do that thing? Why did all of a sudden James Harden be like, yeah, I'm out of here? And why did they like, oh, all of a sudden Zubac is, yeah, we can trade him. There's something coming with the Clippers. There's something coming with Kawhi. One way or another, he's not going to finish this season on the court, I don't think. And so I'm perfectly willing to write the Clippers off and kind of be done with talking about them. I just don't. Yeah.
No, that's fair, because if he's gone, that changes things for them. If with him, I think they can still be a little bit feisty. They were more in this one than I kind of expected to see from him.
Yeah, I guess.
There's some talent. It's not like they shipped it all out in a way. The Harden trade at least brought some like talent back.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
No, I mean, if they don't have Kawhi, like you may as well scrap it. The reason they've kind of had this resurgence is with how well that he has played. So that's a very, very valid point.
Begins and ends, and that's it.
Yeah, we'll kind of get more info on that probably in the next. We'll see. Maybe a week. Who knows?
After the All-Star game.
Yeah, 26 points for Kevin Durant in the win here. Let's move on to the final game that we're going to cover tonight, and that is the Phoenix Suns beating the Dallas Mavericks. This one was over early. The final score isn't as close as it was, 120-111. Let's go over to Lockdown Mavs for Nick's take.
Najee Marshall, the knife, 31 points. The Mavs lose to the Suns 111-120, and you go, 9-point loss. Interesting. May have come down to the wire there. It did. The Mavs got it within a 6-point game late in the fourth quarter, and it was a 31-point game in the second quarter. It looked like the Mavs were completely dead in the water. An atrocious first quarter and terrible first half for the Dallas Mavericks, where Jason Kidd was just trying all kinds of experiments all over the place, playing new guys, starting new guys, all this kind of stuff all over the place. Didn't start Najee Marshall. Najee finishes with 31 points, 12 of 17 from the field. He hits 2 threes. He gets 2 assists as well. He is the heart and soul of this Dallas Mavericks team. And this Mavericks team never stops fighting. They just continue to fight back. Even in a first half like that one, where they look absolutely destroyed, absolutely like overmatched by the Phoenix Suns. Like they just can't get together at all. They can't be organized. Their offenses look just insanely bad. They find a way, and I think it's because of Najee Marshall, the way that he continues to just relentlessly attack the basket over and over again, giving them an advantage, giving them a chance. They had a chance there at the end to cut it to a clutch game. Didn't end up getting there. Cooper Flagg, a really good game for him as well. The Mavs took 44 free throws in this game. He took 14 of them, had 27 points, and that's the only way the Mavs got in the game, because they were only 5 of 22 from 3 and only had 1 3-point made through 3 quarters. Just brutal for the Mavs on offense, but they made it a game.
I don't think they made it much of a game. It was Phoenix just going ice cold in the fourth quarter, not like Dallas so much as doing the things, but
it's crazy to me to see 32 of 44 from the free throw line versus 6 of 9 for the Phoenix Suns, and have the Suns have been in such total control.
Yeah.
Normally, it's like, I think they might be the first team in history to win with this kind of free throw disparity. It's a wild number to see, but how did they win this game? They put up 102 field goal attempts to Dallas's 77. Now, that number is a little skewed because they took 44 free throws, but the 102, when you put up 102 shots,
it's a lot.
You are math-wise, you're giving yourself a chance to win. Half of those were 3-pointers, and they win the 3-point battle by 11. So it's a 33-point difference. That's how you negate that free throw disparity. So cold shooting from 3 from Dallas, but Phoenix doing enough and putting up enough shots to kind of make up for the free throw line.
Yeah, kind of quiet night from Devin Booker, 19 points on just 16 shot attempts. Dillon Brooks led the way with 23 points here. They find a way, I guess. I don't know. They're still like the good vibes team to me, like, depending on what you get from Dillon Brooks, but they just seem like they're having fun there in Phoenix and enjoying winning.
Yeah. Dillon Brooks, man, you know, I say this every time we talk about the Suns, but he's kind of like that secret sauce. Yeah, that attitude. He just gives you enough of that edge where even on a night where he's not efficient, he does enough. He's scoring enough. He's doing enough offensively to kind of help carry the Suns, but he's giving them that defensive edge that I think kind of permeates the team and gives them that ability to defend as well as they do.
Yeah. Look, if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not, you think he's like the worst player in the league and you hate him
simple.
Tremendously. I think it's really as simple as that. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On Wednesdays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, host of Locked On Pelicans.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of Locked On Celtics.
All-Star break's almost here. We'll see y'all next week.
Pick up the ball, Kris Dunn.